Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for being here as usual. This is going to be a fun stream today. I am looking forward to all the fun antics we've got in store today. So thanks for being here. Thanks for saying hi in the chat. The map this morning, again, I was trying out the app I'm From. That is, link is down below, and that's a fun app that somebody else made, not me, so that you all can get maps in your live streams as well. So I've been trying it out for the last couple of weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. I like that it shows the globe with the shading of day and night, because then you can see like who's joining from the middle of the night and who's joining where it's daytime where they are. So that's always fun. But as always, thanks for being here. So let me switch over to the chat so we can see what we've got in the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and get things going. So I see somebody from Singapore here. Oh, there we go. Very late where you are. Thanks for joining. A couple questions coming in already this morning. Looks like some people are helping out in the chat too, which is great. I do want to remind you, if you have a question for me, make sure you either mention my full name at Aaron Parecki with the autocomplete, or I should have fixed now, if you type the word question or just a Q at the front of your message. I should highlight it on my screen now. I believe I've got that working again, so it should be easier way for me to find the questions. So, okay, what do we got? We've got a question here. I have a basic ATEM Mini 101 question. I lose the audio on-off setting when I power the unit off and on. The save startup state should make that setting in when the ATEM is powered down. That should be the fix for it. And if that doesn't work, that is a bug. The other way to sort of make sure that everything is saved the way you want it to is to actually do a full file save as. That exports an XML file that you can then restore into the ATEM later. So that's another great way to like make sure that everything that you've done and you've created in there will come back when you want it to. Bob, thank you for testing that. That did work. It showed up in my question area now instead of the chat area. Thanks. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, nice. Thanks for the comment on the stream last week. The Preroll program was a lot of fun. We don't have a plan to do another one soon, but hopefully we'll be doing another stream, bringing in some other people as well, using different kinds of gear as well. We've been sort of rotating through different kinds of gear, and we wanted to do one on their channel that was actually hosted by Epiphan rather than hosted by us YouTubers. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. The globe froze for a bit. That was my fault. So it does poll every minute, and then you have to like tell it to restart. And I got distracted while the countdown was happening. I forgot to hit the refresh button. So that's so that because it uses the API for YouTube, and the API has very, very harsh rate limits, and it will get very angry if you make too many requests to it. Oh, this is a good question. Is there any way to have a macro auto run on startup? Not that I know of. I don't think you can tell it that a macro should. Yeah, I don't think the running state of macros is something that gets baked in. Okay, cool. So the rough plan for today, I want to, of course, take questions. Feel free to drop in questions at any time. I do want to give a quick update about the stand progress I've been making, and then we're going to bring in the special guest today. So I've been working on, I think last week I showed a sneak peek of the a sidecar stand for the StreamDeck I was working on. And that one, I like the design a lot. That was the one with it kind of looks like a smaller version of the ATEM stand, and you can put a bunch of stuff onto it as well. It has a top bar and everything. It was going to be too expensive to sell for a reasonable price. So I went back to the drawing board and did a totally new design for one, which I've now got here. And this is a much slimmed down version, and it is able to be a lot cheaper, thankfully. So this we are going to run with now as the first one we release. I'm also very excited about this. It is sort of the bare minimum, like it kind of gets out of the way. The StreamDeck sits on top. You don't really see the stand. It attaches one side to the Extreme. The other side has a little foot for, oh, thanks for the confetti, Camille. I appreciate it. Also, I hope my sound effects worked. Thanks for the super chat. That's always fun. Yeah, so this is what we're gonna launch with. I do still want to launch the full-on version of it later as well, but that will be a different product. That way it's okay if it's a little bit more expensive. Is that a Raspberry Pi on the stand? It is, yes. That is a thing that we've also been testing, which is a little clamp for the Raspberry Pi to attach it to the little bottom bar. That was loud. Sorry, I didn't quite tweak the levels, I guess, right? I'll fix that in a second when I get to the other table where my volume control is. Yeah, cool. Okay. The cheering is very loud. Sorry. I'll fix that in a sec. Okay. Sound effects most certainly did work. Cool. And I see David Joshua Ford's mobile cage rig for the Mini is starting to look on for the Extreme. Okay, let me go turn that down. That's a bit loud. I can hear it all the way over here from the headphones that are on the other table. Thanks for the super chat though. let me connect to that one and turn that way down. It was already at -12, but we'll just drop it down even farther. Okay, hopefully that should work better. Yeah, David's rig thing is super cool, and I'm super excited about it. I haven't tried building one myself yet, but I am looking forward to having an excuse to do that if I need to go actually out somewhere. Is that name question queue feature available for all in the extension? It is supposed to work in the extension. There's like a little settings thing where you can go and add in highlight words. I think that stopped working for some reason, so I have to go fix it. I'm actually trying a totally different system for my chat now, but I'm not going to get into that right now. What would I recommend for cooling an ATEM inside of a case build? I mean, probably just fans blowing circulating air in and out. So yeah, I think that's probably your best bet. You can get some nice silent fans. The Noctua makes good fans that are nice and quiet. Oh my God. Okay, cool. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about MixEffect. So the MixEffect app, I've been really excited about testing it out. It is it's a full-featured controller for the ATEM, but it goes beyond that also, which are the parts that I'm super excited about that we're going to have a chance to try out live today. I previously have been using the Strata app for a while, and the Strata app, the original one, I didn't actually think it was very useful because it didn't have enough functionality in it. That it was mostly just like a copy of the buttons on the main screen in the software control app. So I ended up using the Strata Macros app a ton more because you can actually do more complicated things by creating macros to do all your show automations. And but Strata Macros, of course, is limited to just running macros. So you can do a lot with it, but then I started moving all my stuff into Companion. Anyway, this MixEffect app popped up, and it does so much more. It does so much more, and it has a couple of super, super neat features. My favorite one being video follows audio, which is something that I've known it was possible to build it, but I hadn't seen anybody actually do it yet. So, with that, we have joining me today the creator of the MixEffect app, Adam Tow, and I'm going to bring him in just a minute, and we will say hi. So, with that, I'll move over to the table and see you back here in a second. Okay, we are back, and with that, I'm going to welcome Adam to the stream, and here he is.
Hey, how's it going, man?
So nice of you to join me here. Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Happy to have you on the stream.
Great, thanks for having me.
Let me double check that everybody can hear you. Go ahead and say, can you hear Adam in the stream? Looks like it.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, so we're just going to chat about the app. I want to ask you some questions about like what your experience was of developing app, and I want to try out some of the super cool features in the app itself. So I guess where are we going to start? We're going to start with I am curious to know about why you decided to make this happen in the first place. Like what was the motivation for this app?
Right. So about a year ago, I bought the ATEM Mini Pro, which I bet many of you have on your desks. And It was great. It was my first foray in kind of like video production, like just at my house, aside from like doing Zooms and stuff. But I quickly realized that, there's some buttons that were missing. So for instance, the downstream keyer button didn't have one on the ATEM Mini Pro, or like macro buttons. And so I wanted to create an app that basically allowed me to, from my phone, just like bring up the downstream keyer, and do other things like interactive titles and stuff. And then quickly, as I started developing it, I said, hey, I could probably make a full-fledged kind of controller for ATEM devices. And that's basically how it got started, how the ball started to get rolling.
That makes sense. Yeah, I know. There's so many buttons on the ATEM, and yet there's so many that are still missing. It's just like not quite there, and you just want a few more buttons. Especially with the Extreme, there's so many of them, but then it like doesn't have all the buttons for the keyers or all the upstream keyers. So yeah, you very quickly need to load up some other piece of software in order to actually make full use of the features.
Right, and some of the buttons some people will never actually use. Like if you don't have the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras, you'll never use those kind of camera control buttons. So I know a lot of people are saying, can I reprogram those buttons to do other things? And so far, the answer is no.
Right. Yeah, I know. For the last year now, I've been asking Blackmagic to make the buttons reprogrammable because not everybody has 8 Blackmagic cameras on in their studio. So a lot of those buttons could be doing other things. And that was even true with the original ATEM Mini series, where it's like, how often am I going to change the duration of my cuts, right? Like, no, that's not a button I need to press often. So yeah, anyway, so that's great. So tell us about sort of like the quick rundown of the features of the app.
Yeah, so MixEffect is an application that runs on iOS, iPadOS, and macOS Macs that are running Apple Silicon. It's basically a near complete replacement for the ATEM software control application on Mac and Windows. There's a few things that I haven't implemented yet, but you can do things. You can do all the switcher controls. You can monitor audio. You can run macros. You can do a whole lot more with macros. You can color code macros, give icons to macros, filter and sort macros by name and description. You can upload photos from your photos library to the media pool, modify your transitions, upstream keyers, downstream keyers. I have a great SuperSource implementation where you can use your finger to like resize the boxes, rearrange the boxes, and actually create presets. And there's also animated SuperSource transitions. So when you go from one SuperSource layout to another, it does this wonderful looking animation.
Yep. That's awesome. So we're getting some questions in here already, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So what are you using to transition to the camera behind you? Or how are the cuts happening without pressing buttons? How are you switching? You are not touching the ATEM. And yeah, that is the sort of secret of this app, which is this feature, video follows audio. So that's what you've been seeing this happen now for this beginning conversation, where because I'm the one talking right now, the camera is on me. And if I stop talking for a second, it switches back to the wide angle. And then if Adam says something, it'll switch over to him now.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining and watching this video.
Perfect. So yeah, that is a amazing feature for the sort of one person operation where you are the host and the producer and you have a remote guest or in-person guest. It doesn't matter where they are. It's just doing it based on the audio levels. So what's happening is this software is taking a look at the audio levels and comparing who is the one that is the loudest and or is there a gap, and then it will do the switch itself. It'll tell the ATEM to switch cameras. And I think that is probably my absolute favorite feature of this thing. So that is, that is a preview of the video follows audio part of this interview. But I want to show you the other way it works too, which is modifying the SuperSource, which also is a good demonstration of the SuperSource features of this app. So what I'm going to do is I need a second to reconfigure the app, but I'll show you what I'm doing as I do that. So this is the, whoops, my overhead camera just died. That's great. All of that prep There we go. Okay. My overhead camera, this is showing what the app looks like. And there is this, you can kind of see it, VFA. So I turned it off so it's not switching right now, but I have to go and change the way it's working. So I have to go into here and tell it, instead of changing the program source, I actually wanted to do a SuperSource highlight instead. And highlight is something that is unique to this app. It's not a feature in the ATEM itself. So highlight there. I'm going to do the guest as well. Instead of changing program source, it's going to highlight box 2. And then this on the main audio levels, we're going to again clear the change program source, and it's going to reset the SuperSource. So I go into my SuperSource, and I have to tell, these are all the different layout options you get, which is, again, super cool. But what I want to do is choose 2 horizontal crop, and box 1 is my camera, and box 2 is the guest. So when I now switch to the SuperSource, this is the SuperSource layout. And that's just sort of the static layout. And what I can do now is turn back on video follows audio. And now what it'll do is it'll highlight the person that's speaking.
And so when I start talking, it'll highlight me.
So it's a different way of showing who's active and kind of drawing attention to the active person. How did I do setting that up? Did I do everything in the right order, Adam?
It looks like it's working right. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That's pretty fun. So yeah, this is another way to do the auto. It's not quite cutting, right? It's just like highlighting who's active, or adds a little bit more dynamic video into the mix, so it's not just a side by side or not just static cuts. Super cool feature though. Yeah, video follows audio, takes your live stream to a nice new production level.
Looks like from the chat there's double audio from you, Aaron.
Double audio from me. Let me double check. Hello. I only hear one. There may have been a split second where I had 2 mics on, so that may be what you're hearing. My audio did get weird. Okay. Audio. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. No, I don't hear it. Pardon me. Fixed. People are saying it got fixed now. I don't know what that was. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything happening here. Normally, so I do have 2 mics in this room, right? Because I have the one from my table and the one from the desk, and it's not on. It's possible that it did get flipped on for a second when I messed up my switching to the overhead, but hopefully it's fixed. When he changed the master SuperSource, it overlapped audio. What is... and then it's fading in and out. It happened when he changed the settings for the VFA. Interesting. Okay, also, I just realized this is why I hate computers. My computer went to sleep. Come back. There we go. Cool. So let's definitely doubled. What? Fades in and out. Oh, possibly feedback from Adam's side. Okay, let's see. It could actually be that I
do have an AirPod in my left ear, but the volume is actually like less than 50%. So I don't know if it's
I don't think it's
it up from the mic.
Yeah, I don't think it's coming back from the mic. I think it might be my I think it might be OBS.Ninja doing it. That's my suspicion. So let's talk about that while I try to figure this out. So the way that we are doing this interview is through OBS.Ninja, which doesn't actually require OBS, but it's It's a video platform, so a video conferencing platform that gives you a lot of tools for doing like isolated productions. So you can, it's like having a Zoom call where you can pull out individual people into a scene. So what I've got with on the computer screen here is actually a full screen browser, and that is running the OBS.Ninja window as right, so you can see my toolbar up there now. So that's just on my laptop here, which is only it's just like the viewer for it. And then the other, let me think. This is just like what I'm using to just bring in Adam onto this screen. Separately, I'm in a control room, which is like the one responsible for managing that OBS.Ninja workflow. And it is, that's my main M1 Mac over on the table. And that's the one that I am suspecting is where the problem is happening with the audio. So ideally, the OBS Ninja is going to have only the one audio feed going in. So that's what should be happening on this computer. It should be only one audio, and then somehow, my audio from possibly like my AirPods even is leaking through. But yeah, not sure what is happening with that, and I'm not hearing it in the headphones now for this whole time I've been blabbering on. Matt says, how is the speaker being highlighted with the scale effect? Yeah, so that's the highlight feature in the SuperSource feature in MixEffect, which I can show, on the iPad, because that's actually pretty cool. Let's go ahead and do that. So go back to that camera. So in the SuperSource, let's see. We've got, I wanted to show you the iPad. I did set this up right. I actually want to show you the iPad and the multi-view of the ATEM. So I'm going to actually show you the multi-view of my ATEM Mini, or ATEM Extreme, and hopefully pop the iPad up over it. That's not my iPad. That is a color bars. Because I forgot to redo that for testing. Too many ATEMs. I'm doing, of course, the thing where I have, because I want to show you the multi-view, I can't stream from that ATEM. I'm streaming from a different ATEM instead. So here is the iPad. There we go. So let me switch to the SuperSource. Yep. And now we can do different layouts. So I can do, it's actually got a bunch of built-in ones like the iPhone Pro, which is not going to look like anything here, but imagine that was an iPhone connected. I can do, let's see what actually might make sense. Well, we've got a bunch of 2-up layouts, right? So we've got that layout. We can switch to the 2 diagonal. And this app is doing the animations. So this app is telling the SuperSource to actually go and animate to the next layout rather than the ATEM doesn't have that like built into it. So here's 2 horizontal crop, here's 2 horizontal fill, and we've got these little, 2 up like that. But what I did for the highlight in here, this was the sort of base layout. This is what it went back to when it has the reset action. You can go and tell it like when it's, let's see, it's under, sorry, Adam, oh my gosh, where is it?
Which one are you trying to?
The highlight settings, where you tell it like what percentage to grow the box to.
Oh, go tap on the little gear slider icon, and then animation,
Aha.
and then grow and shrink.
There we go. So when it grows, you can tell it how big to get. And we've set it to just 1.1, so it's 10% bigger based on who is speaking. And then I could make it up to 1.5 times bigger, which probably wouldn't look very good in this layout, but we can see what happens if I do that. I think the animation is still on. Yeah, so now I'm quite a bit larger, which is probably a little bit too much for that effect. So I'll change it back down to 1.1. But you can also tell it to shrink the other ones down as well. So we could make the other one go down to half size, which is tiny. But let's see. Adam, if you say something.
If I start talking, Aaron will get very small.
Yeah, there we go. So that's a bit much too. So I think the 10% was a good number there of just subtly changing the sizes of them. But yeah, these are the tools you get for tweaking the SuperSources, and it's just a lot easier than doing it in the software control app from Blackmagic, frankly. Cool. Let's see. Okay, let me take a look at the chat again, and we're going to cut back to the program. Yeah, we get to see the troubleshooting steps. It happened when you use the MixEffect app double audio. The duplex audio is more prominent only when you talk chin up. That makes no sense. So if I'm up here giving it a stronger signal, let's think this through. I have my audio going into this camera is going into the ATEM Extreme, input 3, and then I've got a little bit of dynamics on that. My AirPod mic is what Adam is hearing. My AirPods are being sent through the browser. Maybe it is possible that something in the browser source changed. Let's see, Adam, while I'm figuring this out, do you want to try to answer some of these questions? Let's see, how about this one? Can you keep the SuperSource layout left big, right small, and switch camera with VFA, I'm assuming?
You can change SuperSource layouts, yes, with VFA. You could also run macros and switch to different inputs.
Oh, right. We didn't show the whole macro thing in the VFA. So that's a really cool thing too. The in the settings for this, if you go and look at, like, basically what it is you take your audio sources and you say, when this audio is louder than this, then you can do things. So you can change your program source. You can run a macro. And you could do your SuperSource actions. So if you think about the fact that you could have a macro running when the audio threshold is triggered, that's just like infinite possibilities at that point, right? Because, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Did we find the source? Did you find it when we looked at my multi-view? Guest, table, and overhead. That would explain it. This is why I show you the multi-view, so you can see what my ATEM is doing. Wow. Okay. It's that camera. There we go. That should sound better now. And the reason it was only when I was talking louder is because there's a pretty strong expander on it. You can't see it in the multi-view, and I can't show you my computer right now, but it is a very aggressive. Oh, I can show it to you on the app. I should be able to go into the audio setting for this, right? So audio, overhead. I should have seen it in the app. This was on, and if you look at where are the compressor settings?
So unfortunately, those are some of the settings that don't exist in MixEffect Pro right now. So I can't change the equalizer or the dynamics. So I can just do like the gain, but not all the fancy controls.
Sorry, I found the limit of the app.
My limits of audio engineering are becoming evident now.
There we go. Anyway, so what I wanted to show was the compressor settings for that camera mic. It's a pretty sharp curve, so it was making it pretty much inaudible the whole time, except when I was getting louder or closer to the camera, because it's just a built-in camera mic. And I don't know what I did to turn that on. I must have accidentally touched a button somewhere. Thank you for the detective work. Turn overhead mic off. Yes, that's the one. Okay. It shows on the iPad too. Good eyes. I don't know why I didn't even see it on the iPad there. Thanks for that. Okay, we're good. Now I can take these headphones off, which are very distracting. It's interesting that I couldn't even hear it in my headphones, monitoring myself, because it was so slight of a problem. Anyway, yes, if I had stickers or something, I would send you stickers. Thanks for fixing that. Okay, let's get to some more of the questions. How is Adam hearing you? Yeah, so our call is actually going on through. Oh, there we go. Thanks for that. Thanks for the super chat. I should send that over to Remus Digital Media as a thank you. So the way that we're talking on this call is through OBS.Ninja, and it's like a video call would be, where Adam just joins in a browser, I join in a browser, and we're using AirPods so that we can monitor, we can hear each other. And then I can I can capture that on this browser, send that into the switcher so that you can actually see a clean source of it in the switcher. Okay. Do you have audio hijack in the setup? I don't actually. So I didn't need audio hijack for this because I'm using two computers instead. If I was using one computer to run both the OBS Ninja and the other things I'm using the computer for, which is this chat right now, then I would need audio hijack to like split the audio differently, I think. Can you change the colors on the boxes in SuperSource, which makes it easier to follow?
Yeah. So if you go into settings, Aaron.
Oh.
MixEffect
okay.
settings. You can change if you just click on the little gear at the top. Actually, the one at the top right. Yeah. You go into user interface, and then scroll down to differentiate box with colors.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
So yeah, this is basically what you're looking at. If you're using MixEffect right now, you're looking at a pre-release version of 1.03, which is coming out next week. So there's a few new features. This one already exists in the one that's in the App Store right now, but this one colors your boxes so you can more easily see which one is which.
That is a lot nicer. Yep. That's cool. Good question. Can the app place borders on the SuperSource for the active speaker? Green, active, others for inactive. Ooh, interesting.
The answer is no right now, just because that's just a limitation of the ATEM Mini Extreme. You can't put borders around certain boxes.
Right.
So I guess maybe you could run like a macro, but that can get messy real quick, I think.
You could, right, if you had a macro that would swap out your overlay, if you're using the overlay for the SuperSource instead of a background art, or I guess you could do it with the downstream key also, right? You would have to make separate graphics for it yourself. It wouldn't be built in, but you could make a graphic that has a highlighted border around one person, and it could look like whatever you want at that point. It doesn't have to be just a color. It could be a fancy decorative border. And then your macro would swap out the graphic in your media pool when one person's audio got louder, which would, I love that idea, actually. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. One of the downsides of the ATEM Mini Extreme, there's only like 2 media players, right? So I think you really need like 4 to kind of pull this off and have like downstream keyers with logos and bugs and stuff running. But it is possible. But you'll soon run into the limits of what the hardware can do.
Right. And oh yeah, the other part of the way this app works is the automations only happen when the app is in the audio tab. So that's why they were paused there, because I was if I switch interfaces to show you parts of the app, then I lose the automation. So I'll leave it back in the audio tab now. We've got some more questions. How does Adam see MixEffect complementing or working with Companion and his StreamDeck?
Well, in version 1.02, which is out on the App Store, MixEffect works with Companion and a StreamDeck. So you can actually bring in your SuperSource layouts into Companion and see them as buttons, and then you just push the button and it'll do the SuperSource transition. So I'm bringing more features of MixEffect into Companion. 1.03 has some additional support. I don't know if I'm going to go all the way and say, you can do everything, all the switcher controls, because there's already really good, there's a really good Companion plugin for ATEMs. So I don't know if I want to duplicate that. But certainly for the features that make MixEffect unique, I'm going to bring those over to Companion and StreamDecks.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, all the things that are features in MixEffect that don't exist elsewhere. But there would be no sense in replicating everything, because you might as well have the StreamDeck or Companion talk directly to the ATEM for all of those. But yeah, SuperSource layouts, animations, that stuff is all stuff that you don't get in the ATEM or Companion by itself. For the MixEffect app, can you do these side-by-side layout designs for the original ATEM Mini Pro for video follows audio?
So you can do video follows audio, but you can't do the SuperSource work. I may want to add like presets to the upstream keyer, the DVE, but that will only let you do one box on screen. Right now, there's a limited number of presets in the upstream keyer section where you can put like a box in the upper corner, in the corners and in the center, and you can resize it using your fingers and stuff. But there's no like kind of like built-in presets. You could do that with the shortcuts integration with MixEffect though. So in the interim.
Wait, so talk about the shortcuts integration then. That's something I don't think.
So yeah.
Do you want to show this since you have your phone there?
I could show that. Sure. Let's see how we can do this. Let's go to this one here. So if you can see my screen, I'm going to bring in shortcuts here. I'm actually going to bring it in slide overview, split view. So if you're familiar with shortcuts, it's basically a programming language that's built into every iOS device, starting from iOS 13. And you can write scripts. So for instance, let's take a look at, let's look at default SuperSource boxes. So what this does is, if you can see my screen clearly, I'm basically asking if the switcher is active, and if it's not, I'll open up MixEffect. And then I'm going to set details of the SuperSource boxes. So I'm going to say, I'm going to set SuperSource box 1 to show camera 1. I'll say camera box 2 will be camera 2. Box 3 will be camera 3. And box 4 will be camera 5. And then I'm going to set the media player still to number 17. So if you see what happens when this runs, see what happens. Actually, let's run this one here. 4-grid preset. So here's a simple one. So it says set SuperSource layout to 4-grid. So you're going to see my screen. I'm just going to run this macro, and it'll change to the 4-grid. And then I could run the default SuperSource layouts that you saw earlier, and it will change my box sources. Boom, like that. So think of it like you can do macros, but you can also do, if you know programming, you can do like if statements. So I give basically complete access to all the information in the switcher. So like the current state of the upstream keyer, you can grab all that information and use that with if statements and stuff, repeat statements to like control your control your switcher. So
that is very cool. That is definitely cool. Yeah, so let's see what else. So this is interesting. Chris says, oh no, why is your SuperSource resizing? That was because we have the video follows audio on. But Chris says it's actually distracting, which I'm kind of surprised about. I thought that the subtle resize would have been something kind of nice to look at. But I'll watch this back and see how I feel about it as a viewer too. I switched it back to the cut now. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, with video follows audio, you can, there's a lot of tweaks to the settings you can do. You can say things like hold on a particular person for like 10 seconds. So it'll prevent other transitions or video follows audio transitions from happening. So definitely if it's happening too fast, there are ways to slow it down so it doesn't happen, like every time someone just says something. And there's also ways to prevent accidental triggers. So if I cough, it won't accidentally trigger video follows audio transition to me.
Yep. And I'm noticing now that I think there's a setting on mine which got changed from how I wanted it, where I actually would like it to like hold on the wide shot for longer. Oh yeah, so I changed my seconds to hold down to 0 accidentally. So if I change that up to like 5 seconds, then what that means is if it ever now switches back to the wide shot, it should stay there for at least 5 seconds instead of like flipping back to whoever was talking. So I forgot to change that one back after I was experimenting with it. So yeah, now that we're on the wide one, it shouldn't switch back to me immediately until it's been 5 seconds. And then because I'm still talking, it switches back. And that's a little bit smoother. So, and that applies to the SuperSource actions as well, right? Where it'll avoid doing an action to the SuperSource until that hold time has passed as well. So a lot of options in here that you get as far as like tweaking it to make it work how you want. Okay, more questions. Yes. Okay. The ATEMs allow 5 controllers to connect to it. So if you're using Companion and MixEffect, that leaves 3 for other things like Production Assistant or tallies. Yes. That is a unfortunate limit of the ATEM. It only has supports 5 connections. So yeah, this app does eat one of the connections. So that is just a thing you have to deal with and work around. For the tally lights, I would say your best bet is to run the tally lights through something else. So don't have tally lights that connect directly to the ATEM because you'll run out of connections very quick. Instead, run your tally lights through Companion or the Tally Arbiter app instead. That way it only takes one connection to the ATEM to power all of your tally lights. Okay. Any limitations on the Mac M1 Mini?
There are some kind of user interface quirks that you might see. So some of the labels kind of like double up. And also I've found that the mouse controls don't translate very well to touch controls. So sometimes, say for instance, the fader bar, you might like start clicking it and dragging it and it might like stop. So I'm still trying to figure out what's happening there.
Yep, that makes sense. How is the iPad connected to the ATEM Mini? Is that Wi-Fi? No. So what I was doing so I've got a camera on the top right, so you can see the iPad and my finger over it. But then I've also got it plugged in via HDMI to the ATEM Mini Pro, the one that's actually streaming. So when I show you the multi-view with the iPad over it, I forgot my macro sets that source to the color bars instead of my my iPad, but that corner is taken up by the upstream keyer of the ATEM that is actually doing the streaming. So that's connected directly in over HDMI. Here's a question for you, Adam. Has Blackmagic given feedback on the MixEffect app to you?
There are a few people at Blackmagic who've seen it and have used it. They've actually sent me a bunch of loaner equipment. So you can see right behind me, I have an ATEM production studio 4K, a 4ME broadcast studio, and a Constellation. So I've been doing a lot of compatibility testing with those apps, with those devices. I know right now if you have an ATEM production studio 4K, the app crashes, but that's going to be fixed in the next release coming out next week. And then if you have a Constellation, you may have noticed some odd SuperSource 2 bugs because Constellation has 2 SuperSources, and those will all be resolved in the next version. So they've been really helpful in giving me kind of loaner equipment so I can add features to the app. So other things that may be coming in the future are things like HyperDeck support and camera control beyond just being able to toggle autofocus.
That is very nice that they are loaning this equipment, because it shows that they actually want this kind of third-party app to exist, which I think is a good sign. So they're not trying to lock down on the app ecosystem by making all the apps themselves or something. They're happy to have third-party developers create these, which is a very good thing. Speaking of that, Roland asks, did Adam find all the ATEM integration implemented in a documented API, or did he have to reverse engineer functions?
It's not using the Blackmagic SDK. So the Blackmagic SDK works for Windows, Mac. And so I'm using, there's a library that was developed called Swift ATEM. And I've reworked a lot of it to kind of do the things that I wanted to do. So, but that was like kind of the start of how I was able to get the app up and running in the first place.
Okay. Yep. Try shortening the crossfade for switching. I guess that would be my regular setting for the crossfade in the ATEM. Is that right? There's no special crossfade for the video follows audio feature?
That's correct. Yeah. It'd be whatever your transition speed is.
It is set to 15. Let me just take it down to, wait, it changed. Let me just take it to no fade. Actually, that's a question. Is there a way to make it cut without changing the transition rate?
You can do cuts instead of auto transitions.
Is that in, there it is. I see. So let me disable that while I show you the overhead. In here, there's a setting, there's change program source, but then there's transition style. So
yeah, so you can change the style to like dip, mix, DV, cut.
Look at that.
Basically any of the transition options that you have.
So let's just change these to cuts right now and see how that looks, because I'm curious which one looks better in the end. Change those to cuts and change the main one back to a cut. And turn it back on. There we go. Oh, that worked. Great. Is Adam's app in the same network as yours, or do you switch to Adam full screen? Oh, so when you were looking at his screen, when he was showing you his iPad, I noticed that it may have looked a little bit blurrier than mine on the screen. But that's because what you're looking at here, this is just a video feed that he's sending me over OBS.Ninja. So he's sending me a video feed through his ATEM, and he's got all the SuperSource and stuff. Oh, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. So much good learning today. Video follows audio, OBS.Ninja. Awesome. Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, so he's sending me just one video feed of from his ATEM, where he can then choose what's in it. And that might be a full screen camera, or it might be a SuperSource layout with the iPad. So when you were looking at his iPad, it was just the one video feed that I'm getting into my studio, and I just full screened his input there and held it there. So that's how that worked. So, and I noticed that the text wasn't quite as crisp as I would have liked, and that is, there's probably a setting in OBS.Ninja somewhere to tell it what codec to use, because I'm sure the defaults are codecs that are optimized for videos, like video of people and smooth gradients and stuff, not screen sharing. There's probably an option in there to change a codec to make it work better for screen sharing. So that's something that's worth looking into for sure. There's a question here about, can you play videos? That's a good question. Is there any sort of video playback support in here?
So there's no HyperDeck support yet. Something that I want to add to the application, but I just haven't had time to implement it. You could, program kind of like the controls into a macro and then have a set of macros that you like tag with the word hyperdeck, and then you can bring up things. But there's no native controls at the moment. I saw a question thing about playout beam, and I don't have one of those myself, but I believe it kind of implements reverse engineers kind of the hyperdeck. It makes it look like a hyperdeck to the ATEM. So if that's the case, then once I add hyperdeck support, it could work with playout beam.
Yeah, that makes sense. But there's no video output of this app. It's just sending control commands. It's not sending you wouldn't use it to output a video into it. That would be a different kind of app, very different app. Here's a good question. Does the audio need to be turned on for VFA, or could a noisy cameraman trigger without being heard? So that is a good question, actually. Let me show you the iPad again, and I'm going to ask this question to Adam while I'm pointing at things. So I've got 3 audio sources enabled right now, or I guess 2. I have my table mic and the guest mic, and they're on. You can see with a little orange on. And then the main audio is showing me the levels there. There's a bunch of other audio coming in, right? I've got audio from my overhead camera, which was one giving us problems earlier. It's now off. My question is, can I turn on an action here even if the audio is not in the program?
No.
Okay.
So if the audio is off, then video files audio will not work.
Okay, that makes sense.
For that input source.
Yeah. So the audio for the source has to be in the program in order for the automations to run.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. Raul says, thank you. I was working on an app to do VFA. Now I need to throw my code to the trash can. Yeah.
So that's actually a good point. So there are other apps I think that have done VFA, like Python stuff and stuff. And then a common question I've seen in the chat is like, is there going to be like a Windows or Android version of the app? And the answer right now is no, because there's so much that's baked into iOS, like the frameworks that I'm using and stuff. It's very much tied to it. I'm an Apple person through and through. But there are so many libraries out there right now that work cross-platform. So it's theoretically someone could create an app like MixEffect for Android and Windows. I just don't think I'm going to be the person to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. People ask that all the time. It sounds like it should be easy to just make it run on another device, but no, the 2 platforms are just completely different. There's almost nothing in common with them at this point, so you can't really just pick up code and run it in the other one. Okay, any plans for supporting Hyperdeck? So supporting Hyperdeck, what would that mean? I guess talking directly to the Hyperdeck, or at least telling the ATEM to send the Hyperdeck commands. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's 2 ways to do it. I think you can talk directly to it, or you can use the kind of the messages from the ATEM to the Hyperdeck, and that's the approach that I'm going to take initially. I have actually a Hyperdeck on loan from Blackmagic. There's just so much to control with it. You think there's only like a few controls, but actually you can do a lot of things with the Hyperdeck, and I need to like grok it and understand it before I start implementing it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is a great question. Can Adam comment on whether he sees MixEffect as a long-term commitment? Using MixEffect to handle these advanced tasks is very appealing if Adam will support it long-term.
I definitely have plans to support this long-term, and a lot of that is because of the response I've been getting from users who are using it in their live productions, and they seem to love it a lot. And I use it myself, so as long as I'm kind of wedded to Blackmagic ATEM devices, I think I'm going to be supporting it.
That is excellent to hear. Yeah, it is. I know it's not a small amount of work that goes into this kind of thing, so it is pretty incredible what you've done here, first of all. But also, yeah, the response has been great, I think, so far. So, yeah, super excited that we'll be able to see this app in use for a long time. Okay, any other questions for Adam? Oh, yeah, is Adam using the cheese grater iMac?
It's not the cheese grater iMac, but it is the Apple Pro Display XDR. Being powered by a Mac Mini M1. So
excellent. Will the MixEffect app work for all of the ATEM Mini products?
It definitely works for all the ATEM Minis. For the kind of the older switchers, like the Constellation Broadcast Studio, I'm still working on compatibility. I think I've got them all down. And if you have an ATEM Television Studio, it should work on those. It may not work on like the original ATEM Television Studio, the one that looks like a rack mount, but it works on the Television Studio HD, Television Studio Pro 4K, and then the
Cool.
one that looks like a control panel. I think Television Studio HD Pro. Their naming system is very hard sometimes. Blackmagic.
Yes, they naming is a challenge for sure. Um, can Adam start a Discord server? It would be easier than Facebook to ask questions. That is a good point. Where do people ask questions for you and get support and chat?
Yeah. So I try to be pretty much everywhere everyone else is. I have a Facebook community. I have a Slack community. I have a newsletter. I have email. There's a feedback link in the app. I have not started a Discord server yet. I'm still trying to understand how Discord works. But if there's a a groundswell of support and demand for it, I might start one of those up too.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, and there was another question. Oh, right. I skipped past this one earlier. How to interact with log bugs and feature requests.
Yeah, so right now I've been just fielding questions on all the different community places that I am. Thinking I do have a site for localization, and I might expand that in the future to solicit bug reports. So that's hosted on GitHub right now, and that seems to be a good place to kind of field those types of things if you have a GitHub account.
Great, perfect. And the link for the app is there we go. Some more confetti. Thanks for that. Really like the MixEffect app. I like to support it with giving Adam a free ad in my photo video magazine. Look at that. In Norway.
That's
cool.
Great. Yeah. Contact me on Facebook or in the app via the feedback link.
Perfect. Great. And then let's see. One question here about our setup. What am I sending to Adam for the video feed? So I've got my ATEM Extreme over there, the one that is mixing most of the show. That is sent. That's connected into OBS.Ninja as the video source. So Adam would be seeing whatever is the active camera on the ATEM Extreme. So right now he'd be seeing the wide camera, and as soon as it switches back to me, he'll be seeing me. So he's seeing the program out of that ATEM. That was a choice we made. It doesn't have to be that way, obviously. Like I could have put just a webcam here to have a fixed shot. I could have sent him a video from some other camera in here, but it made sense to sort of show what's on the program so that he can see if the auto switching is working and things like that. Maybe Adam could join John's Discord server. John's Discord server is great. It's here to record Discord. I think there's a link for that one down below. No, not in mine. Go look at John's. I don't link to his. Go to John's channel, here to record. He has links to it in his channel. But yeah, if you did want to, Adam, get a sense for our Discord, that is a great Discord community to join as well. So we could make a space in that Discord for this app.
So I do see a question about a couple questions about like multiple iPads, iPhones, and stuff.
Oh.
So yeah, you can definitely run MixEffect on a variety of devices. So if you see my view here, I have MixEffect that's controlling my ATEM Extreme running on an iPhone Pro 11 Pro Max, and you see the one on the iPad. So you can actually have multiple devices subject to the 5 connection limit, talking to the same ATEM, and in addition, you can save information about multiple ATEMs. So if you have 3 ATEMs, you can have them all listed down here, and you can connect to them individually one by one. If you have an iPad, you can do things like this. You can actually bring up, say, split view, and connect to another ATEM at the same time. So right now I'm connected to the same ATEM Extreme, but it's in 2 instances. So I can be in 2 different kind of views. And then if you want to get really fancy, you can actually have MixEffect running in slide over here. So you can actually have 3 ATEMs that you're talking to, or the same ATEM 3 times if you have an iPad.
That is very cool. Yeah, that's a really neat feature. I'm a big fan of that. I've already got it connected to all the ATEMs in my studio here, as well as the one at home. So I've got it controlling the ATEM Extreme for this show, and I can switch over to the one at home where I was testing it last night. Super cool that you can connect to multiple. I didn't realize you could actually have the same app instance open twice. I had no idea that iOS apps even did that. So I've never even tried it before. That is very cool. So I could definitely see like having.
Don't get too comfortable. They may be changing it in iOS 15 for the iPad. So.
Oh no. Okay. I won't make that a part of my workflow then. I was going to say I could totally see having like the audio tab up, which is needs to be in the foreground for the video follow audio to work, but then have a second copy over on the side so that I can actually mess with the rest of the settings. I assume that does take 2 connections to the ATEM then, right? So keeping that 5 in mind.
Yeah, it would take 2 connections. Yeah.
Cool.
So another thing, like, with Companion, like some people like to just operate their device just from Companion. If you have like an iPad or an iPhone connected, it might take up a lot of space. So some people like are even using like iPod Touches. This is the 7th generation iPod Touch. So you can just have that plugged in, running the SuperSource, and then it would be talking to Companion, or Companion would be talking to it via OSC, and then you just control your thing from Companion in the StreamDeck.
Yep, that's cool. A lot of options. There's a question here. Can it run on the iPod Touch? And it looks like the answer is yes. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. And even some people have been asking about Apple Watch, and I have nothing to report right now, but maybe support the app. Maybe you'll see a watch version soon too.
What would you do with the watch version? That's interesting.
Well, there was a user who wanted to do cuts while he was, monitoring the thing, or maybe you could do SuperSource layouts from the watch. I can see, just using the crown to switch through, slide through your layouts, and then you just tap it and boom, you're done.
Funny. Okay. Yep. Here's a good question. What is the minimum iPad hardware that can run this app?
Yeah. So MixEffect requires iOS 14. So I believe the lowest is the iPad Air 2 and the iPad Mini 4.
Mini 4 is the one before the current gen, right?
That's correct.
Cool. Great. That's pretty good. That's pretty good compatibility then. I believe Adam is on the Live Video Tech Today forum as well. Oh, is that a good place to find you as well?
Yep, you can post there.
Cool.
And I'll just tag me so I can see the notification.
Great. And yeah, we can make a special category in the support section as well for this app if you want a dedicated place to post those questions.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah. Can MixEffect trigger on external audio sources? I assume you mean the mic 1 and mic 2 for the ATEM?
Yeah, certainly. I think there was another question on the Facebook thing about like external mixers. Like if you route all your audio into like a USB mixer, and since MixEffect isn't connected to that, it can't get the audio, like the split audio track, so it wouldn't be able to work there.
That makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's monitoring audio from the ATEM itself, not doing any audio level. It's not doing any audio processing. It's just looking at the levels that the ATEM reports. So like if that's why this screen needs to be up for it to work. But notice how like something is telling the bars to move that tall, right? And you see that in the software control app as well in the ATEM software control, and that value is being reported over the protocol. So that's what the app is using. It's not doing any like audio processing on its own. So it wouldn't work to just like have it connected into a mixer, because the mixer doesn't report audio the same way that the ATEM does. But yeah, so if you can get the audio into the ATEM, into your program feed, then you can do the video follow audio. Cool. Roland says this is the most technically advanced third-party application to date. Kudos. I agree. It is 100%
Thank
amazing.
you.
So, all right. Well, I guess that's about it. I guess we should wrap it up. Thanks for joining. What is the best way to reset my SuperSource real quick? I guess I go into the there we go. Now we're side by side. Yeah, thanks to Adam for joining the stream today. That was a lot of fun. Got a lot of good questions in there.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so glad you could share with us all this insight about the app, and got a lot of good questions there. So, yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to using this app. I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. The link for the app is down below, and definitely go and check that out and support the app. It's a lot of work to make these things, I know. So it's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, for the listeners, the way the purchasing works, that you can download the app for free from the App Store, and there's a limited number of things that you can do with the free version. You can like change your transitions, change your preview program sources, and hit cut and auto. There's a 30-day trial of MixEffect Pro, which will unlock everything for 30 days. And then if you want to purchase it, there's an introductory price of $50 right now. So, I've been getting a lot of good responses to this, so the price may increase one day. I don't know, but right now it's $50. So.
And just to be clear, it's $50 purchase, not a subscription, right?
That's correct. It's not a subscription. So once you buy it, you'll get updates for free.
So if you do buy it now, if the price does go up, you will still have it and you won't have to pay again.
Yeah. And if you've been following the app, I'm very responsive to user feedback. And if there's a really good feature that I think will improve the workflow for other ATEM users out there, I will probably implement it. No guarantees, but you guys are using these products on a daily basis. And if you come up with, things that improve how things work, I want to hear it, because other people can benefit from that.
Awesome. That's great to hear. All right. Well, yeah, thanks. I guess we'll just wrap it up there. I don't really have anything else to share today, so we will just close out the show. Thanks as always for watching, and happy to be able to show off cool apps like this. So see you all next week on another show. And thanks, Adam.
Thanks.